What's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the newest generation Dodge Challenger. Big shout out and thank you to Alta Auto Group for providing this muscle car for today's video. Definitely check out the link to their website linked below. They have an awesome selection of pre-owned cars just like this. And the model that we're looking at today is the SRT Hellcat Redeye Widebody, finished off in TorRed and had an original MSRP around $85,000. Underneath the hood of the Hellcat Redeye, you're going to find a supercharged 6.2 liter 8-cylinder engine. This Hemi V8 pumps out 797 horsepower with 707 pound-feet of torque. It's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission and sends all the power to the rear wheels. With a curb weight around 4,500 pounds, you can expect 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds, run 10s in the quarter mile, and top out at 203 miles per hour. And with an 18.5 gallon fuel tank, you're looking at 13 miles per gallon in the city and 22 on the highway. The overall length is 197.5 inches with wheelbase at 116.2. Height is 57.5 and width is 78.3 inches. And then now moving on to the Hellcat Redeye Widebody's exterior design. As you can see, we have those bulging fender flares to give this a wide body. It is a really muscular muscle car, and you can just see how aggressive everything is. Taking a look at these retro style for the headlights, finished off in a round design with chrome housings, and then you can see all the black for the upper grille mesh to allow cooling to the radiators. On the driver's side, you can even see the SRT Hellcat logo, and this headlight even has a duct in it to force more fresh air into the air intake. This has a very squared off front end, and you can just see how aggressive everything looks. We get more openings in the lower portion of this grille and bumper to allow more cooling to the radiators. And then we even get a massive front splitter that cuts its way all the way to the side. You can see just how wide the front fenders are to give it that wide body effect. It really does come together nicely. Moving to the hood, you have these huge intake ducts with massive bumps behind them to give it that aggressive design. They even lead more cold air to the air filter to really make this an efficiently breathing engine. Along the side profile, we get a set of 20-inch wheels in all four corners with a multi-spoke design finished off in a gunmetal gray. We even get 6-piston Brembo brake calipers up front and then 4-piston Brembo brakes in back. We get the Hellcat Redeye logo on this front fender, and the eye is actually finished off with a red piece inside of it. It looks really cool, nice subtle design. You can see how big these front and rear fenders are. We also get all body color for the roof and A-pillars, same with the side mirrors and then the door handles. And you can see just how flat and sharp all the body lines are at the side profile. While it's a pretty large car, it does have nice proportions all around, and I love the sharp single line going through the side profile with all the flat lines. You can see the rear fender, how wide that looks. We get a black plastic spoiler mounted on the deck lid that kind of dips down around the sides, has a really neat look. And we even get the backup camera in the top. You get your trunk release button and Dodge written out, then gloss black, and then LED taillights. Very retro the way it's styled. A single sharp line in the center. And then you can see the massive black diffuser with all of your parking sensors and the dual exhaust. So there's a good look at the exterior with the Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat Redeye Widebody. This is a beast of a car looking. It certainly is pretty beefy with that wider body. It's really cool. I love the red. So we have the red key now, which gives you all the horsepower. We have the SRT Hellcat logo on the one side, and we get remote start. If I lock it and double tap on the engine start stop button, we can get the Hemi to roar to life. Has a nice meaty tone, as you would expect. And then just pressing it once, it'll shut off. And then keeping the key fob in my pocket, I can just grab the door handle and lift it up. It'll unlock it, and then we can check out this interior. This Hellcat Redeye features a black leather interior with some alcantara and then dark gray trim. If we go ahead and take a look at the door panel now, finish off in black, you get black leather up top with contrast stitching, all of the alcantara for the insert. We even get memory seating. You have your window controls, mirror controls, lock and unlock, a nice little grab handle with some padding for the armrests. And then you get storage in the back side, a black chrome colored door handle as well as more storage. And then moving inside, we have power controls on the seat as well as lumbar and then manual recline. You can see the smooth black leather with contrast stitching, a cool little stitch design, and then perforated alcantara for the centers. Really large bolsters in the bottom as well as the backs. And then we get the SRT logo into the leather, and then more of the white stitching. This one also gets an alcantara steering wheel with silver trim. And then now inside the Redeye, keeping my foot on the brake, we can go ahead and fire it up. Taking a look at the gauge cluster now, we get an LCD screen right in the center with your tach on the left and the speedometer to the right. On the left side of the steering wheel, we have this pad where you can control everything in the center screen. Scrolling down, you can see vehicle information and scroll through all sorts of different vitals, temperatures, and pressures will come up here, which is a really good feature to see, especially in a high horsepower muscle car. We also have more things that come up like performance. You can see everything coming up here, timing and everything. We have fuel economy, not that that's too important, then trip information, and then some basics coming up through this screen. You can see we also have audio controls and Bluetooth, and then cruise control on the right. You get some small paddle shifters. They're a couple inches tall, and they have a nice feel to them. A little small though. We do get your turn signal stock, and then on the left side of the steering wheel, we have all of your headlight controls and trunk release button. You can also see some of the black leather and stitching running across this dashboard. Has a pretty nice look to it. You can see it running around. Then we have this cool metal design on the plastic trim. And then moving to the touchscreen display. We have all of our climate controls, very easy to operate everything and make all of your different adjustments. We have audio controls on this left side that comes up for media, more controls for heated and ventilated seats, as well as your heated steering wheel. And then we have this apps icon area with all sorts of different controls for things within this car. If we hit the SRT dashboard, you can see your launch control, shift lights, the chiller to keep the air nice and cold for the engine. You can also see all these different things that come up. You can adjust your launch control RPM, chiller, you can see how that's working, and then all sorts of things for the shift light, race cooldown. If we exit out of here and go back, you can also see your drive modes up top. You can adjust that for sport mode as well as your track mode. You can go into it and get a cool depiction of everything. And then on top of that, we have an area that you can go into for performance pages. In here, you're gonna see some gauges that pop up for horsepower, your gear, G-force. We also have all the different timers for 0 to 60, things like that. You can also see more of those gauges. We also have a G-force meter. Your engine information will all come up, and then we even get a dyno to see how the engine is operating while driving. And then if we go ahead and put this car into reverse, we get a backup camera. Not the best graphics, however, it is nice to see, and then parking sensors come up in the center, and we can go ahead and put it back into park. Below that, we have your volume on off on the left with your scrolling on the right. The SRT icon is the shortcut to the one page. We have our launch control, a few other buttons, and then physical climate controls down below. And when you make any adjustments, it all comes up on the screen to make it pretty easy to see everything. And then below that, we have our shifter, a little bit of storage, more of that metal design on all the plastic, 2 cup holders, more of the leather. Opening this up, we get a pretty large storage area in the center, and then our glove box has a pretty good size as well. And then one last look at this interior. You can see how it is a little bit of an outdated car. It's been around for quite some time. However, it still does look pretty sporty, has a more simple design to it. And then if we take a look up top, we get a full sunroof on this model. You can see handles on the far side, sunglass holder, all those controls, and garage door buttons. The Dodge Challenger does have back seats. If I grab this lever, I can pull this forward and get it out of the way. The rear seats, this is a 3-person capacity. You still get the same alcantara with all the smooth leather and the stitching, and then the center seat will even fold down to be a good armrest. We get 2 air vents down here, and then storage on the backs of these seats. So they're now sitting in the back of this Hellcat Redeye. So I'm 5'11", my head is just barely touching the ceiling, but not too bad. This is a pretty roomy 2-doored car. Not many cars are bigger than this. So with the seat even set at my height, I can still sit back here really comfortably. It's nice how this is pretty practical. You got a good armrest, decent sized rear window. It's not too claustrophobic back here, and I can even grab this handle, lift it up, and get out of the car. And then moving to the trunk space, you can double tap the button on the key fob, use the one on the interior, or use the one that is on the center. Then we can just lift this up. You get so much cargo space in the back of a Dodge Challenger. My camera bag is tiny in here. You can probably fit maybe 4 golf bags or something in here, super practical. And then with the rear seats folded down, you can see just how much more storage space you're gonna get in the back of this car. They fold down almost flat, but you do get a pretty large opening into the trunk to make this a very practical 2-door car. All right, so starting the test drive now in this Hellcat Redeye. So we're already in sport mode, manual, just to kind of feel out the power. So this is a pretty quick car. You're gonna notice that it obviously packs a punch. Let's get up and over this hill and we'll slow down a little bit. As far as handling, this is actually a really stable car. For being kind of on the heavier side, it actually kind of carries its weight nicely to where you can steer it, pinpoint it a little bit, and it's actually pretty impressive. It's pretty quick too. Obviously almost 800 horsepower. This has got some power under its belt. It's got a lot of weight though, so it's not crazy blow your socks off fast, but it's pretty darn quick. It is fun to drive for sure. The 8-speed is really responsive. And the suspension in sport mode and track mode is really tight. It's super stiff the way it feels. Visibility's pretty good in the car too. There's so much room, so much glass. I love how you can see the bumps in the hood, you know, over your left and right shoulder. They're all right. That C-pillar back there was a little big. And I love the sounds, the Mopar V8 and the supercharged whine. Just has a really meaty sound to it. And then as we come down to a standstill almost, the brakes are really well balanced. I think you can really get this thing down to a slow speed. So it's nice that Dodge did a good job putting the correct size brakes on a muscle car like this. It's pretty sweet to take around some turns. All right guys, so we are now, with my perspective of this car, going into manual mode, 3rd gear. It packs a nice punch. Now, some people don't like my reaction to when I drive a Hellcat like this, just because I'm used to a 700 horsepower Nissan GT-R. It weighs a lot less than this. And while this one has almost 100 horsepower more than my engine does, the weight does something. You know, it makes these not crazy fast. Not to say it isn't a fast car, and it really depends on your perspective. This is a fast car. It's fun to drive. It really just throw you back in your seat. I just drove the normal Hellcat. The Redeye really does have that little bit extra touch. And I like how you can still handle and take turns. Not maybe the smallest road you wouldn't want to be on, but a sweeping country road like this is pretty sweet to drive. It makes so many good sounds. And the fact that you get such a muscle car in a car that's very usable, I think is a pretty big selling point. Interior's a little dated. You know, they could certainly upgrade it and do some better things to it. But this has that true muscle car feeling. Oh man, such good sounds out of it. And the supercharger whine is insane. Gosh. It's pretty quick. It really does get up to some high speeds pretty quick without thinking. It's also really comfortable. You know, this is a car you can daily drive, even being the Redeye, you know, pretty much the big boy, aside from, I guess, a jailbreak. It's normal to drive when you're in the automatic mode and just leaving the transmission normal. It's very comfortable and nothing too out of the ordinary. I like how it has that livable aspect to it, and it just kind of makes it a car that's pretty well rounded. You know, it does have the performance, it has pretty good handling for its weight, and the acceleration. And the acceleration is pretty good. I mean, that's up to 60 without even thinking. But overall, the SRT Hellcat Redeye Widebody, there's a lot of words to the name of this car. I think it's a pretty cool option. Just, of course, I'm sure the new generation is coming out very soon to where it'll have the things that we don't like about this, basically the interior. I think the exterior is still spot on. I think it's such a sharp looking car. It has that muscle car feeling and look to it. And the interior just a little slacking. But yeah, driving in the Hellcat, my perspective's changed a little bit on these now that I've driven them with the red keys. You know, you have the extra power. It really is a car that is pretty sweet to drive. So I think that is then it for the Redeye. If you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for plenty more content to come. Big shout out to Alta Auto Group for providing this car for today's video. They have an insane selection, so definitely check them out. I'll see you guys in the next video.